All right, we're going live. Hello, happy Friday. Welcome everyone to another installment of Get a Clue in 52 for coaches, myself included. This is the third tips book that I've done. The first one was just Get a Clue in 52. They all have 5 categories in them. The first one, the 5 categories were communication, networking, marketing, sales, and accountability. And we also have an accountability section here in this book. We've repurposed it just a little bit to be context specific. But the second edition of Get a Clue in 52 that we did was a fun project. It was co-authored with my friend and yours, Vipul Dayal, the serial go-giver, and it was the entrepreneur edition. Vipul's got like 12, 13, 14, 15 businesses or something like that. He always gives me credit for helping him. He says, well, when I met Coach Jeffrey, I only had 8 businesses. Now we've got like 14. And it's really, humble and cute, but it's like a humble brag, right? Anyway, we did this cool project, Get a Clue in 52 for entrepreneurs. And the 5 categories there were personal branding, business acumen, business ownership, leadership and influence, and then work-life balance. And so that got me to this year where I wanted to do one that was all about coaching. And I started off thinking, well, this is for aspiring and emerging coaches, or this is because I find myself this year to be the vice president of communication for the Professional Coaches Alliance. And it reminds me, let me get some graphics up here. Welcome to Get a Clue in 52. But yeah, Professional Coaches Alliance, it's like a nonprofit organization where you can learn with and from other coaches that are building their practices. You could be a subject matter expert if you've got something to share with aspiring and emerging coaches. There's a business builders track, and there's lots of fantastic programming. And let me just go ahead and put the link in there to the website, professionalcoachesalliance.com. It started off as the San Diego Professional Coaches Alliance, but the mission now is it's just PCA, is to expand nationally and even internationally. So if you have a question about content or programming, you want to find, she's easy to find, Margot Garcia, VP of Programs. Sometimes Margot joins us here on these sessions. So there you have that. So what are we doing here with Get a Clue in 52 this year? Well, we're in the accountability section, but how did we get here? First of all, we started the year with, what was it? It was 11 tips. 11 tips all about self-promotion, which starts with self-identification, which starts with learning how to coach, right? We become a coach. We call ourselves a coach. Then we got to let the world know that we're a coach. And then hopefully we evolve to letting the world know that coaching is just one of the ways that we can help solve some of the world's problems that we endeavor to solve, right? Then once we've told the world that we can coach, and coaching is one of the solutions we provide, now it's time to get coaching clients. So we followed with 9 tips on engagement or enrollment. If you're inside of an organization institutionally and you've got direct reports or even committee members in a volunteer organization, then what you want is engagement. You want the people that are the subject of your leadership, the direct reports, the committee, right? You want them engaged. And then, of course, if you're building private practice, you want enrollment. You want people to enroll in coaching programs, right? So enrollment or engagement, 9 tips there. And they focused on how I developed 2 complimentary coaching sessions in order to make it easier for me to enroll people in coaching programs. As I take a sip of coffee there. And by the way, hello, Sue. Have I said hello to you yet so far? Hello, Sue.
Hello.
You're here?
Hello.
Hey, if I could stop for coffee, I could stop for Sue. Anyway, it's I'm always so grateful that you're here. It always makes things a little bit more dynamic for me. Let me go ahead and finish my introduction. We'll get ready to roll. After engagement or enrollment, right? So you've promoted and then you've got clients. Now it's time to serve and actually deliver coaching. And so for me, it's motivation plus accountability equals results. So we went through 10 tips on motivation. What are all the ways that we want to help people change behavior, get people out of their own way, get people into action? And it's really in particular just taking action that they wouldn't normally take, right? So reducing behaviors, eliminating behaviors, starting behaviors, all of any forms of behavioral change is what motivational coaching, in my opinion, is really all about. And sometimes all it takes is just strategy. Just try this proven strategy and off they go. Other times it takes strategy plus a checkup from the neck up to help people get out of their own way, which leads me to kind of what we're going to be talking about today a little bit. It's kind of ironic that today's tip shows up in the section on accountability. I'm looking forward to elaborating on that, but it's really borrowing from what we know about how to do behavioral intervention, what we know about the drivers of psychology, and what we know about limiting beliefs and the hypothalamus creating the chemicals that represent emotions that we call feelings that get into our nervous system, and then start to create craving. It all starts in this land of motivation, but we're going to reference authoring state of mind today in the accountability section, and we're in the second half of our 10 tips on accountability. So let me just do a quick review of the tips within the accountability section that got us to where we are today. Tip number 31 was find a way to love. As much reputation as accountability coaching can have on the surface for being bad cop coaching, what we took time to explain in tip number 31 is how it requires love, the willingness to be vulnerable, to endeavor to hold anybody accountable at all. Never mind all the other things it requires or would be helpful, right? Anyway, find a way to love. If you don't love, if you're not willing to be vulnerable with and for your clients, you might not want to be in coaching, right? In our opinion, and love is the adhesive that holds the whole model together. So there you go. Now, closely related to that was tip number 32 is to look within, right? You're going to have a hard time holding other people accountable unless you're able to look within, unless you've had the experience of looking within, of being self-reflexive, of challenging yourself, questioning yourself in healthy ways, right? Not doubting yourself, just challenging and questioning yourself isn't the same thing as doubting yourself, okay? Ultimately, then we get into the real first accountability of accountability coaching, which is goal setting, right? The difference between a hope, a wish, or a dream and a goal, and the challenges that people have in goal setting, and then how to do it, of course, and why we added an A and changed the R to a very familiar model that's out there. If you Google it, you type SMART goal setting, you're going to get SMART. And we took some time to understand why the R was kind of repetitive if what you find for R is realistic. Why? Because the A is achievable. And what we know is criteria for achievable is belief. If we believe we can do it, we are right. Of course, if we believe we cannot do it, we are also right, says Henry Ford. So we don't want to cross over the threshold of belief when we're establishing and setting our goals. We want to nestle right up to the threshold of belief without crossing over it, because all behavior is preceded by a belief. And if we don't believe we can achieve the goal we've set, we're going to go ahead and prove ourselves right. So the threshold of belief is really critical. And the other thing that we talked about just a moment ago when I talked about motivation right here, and that the goal of motivation is to assist people in behavioral change. Well, that's what I added the A for in SMART goal setting, is ambitious. Not the size of the goal, not how many widgets you make or how many houses you buy, or no, not the size, but ambitious. If you know you need to change behavior in order to achieve the goal. Do you need to decrease, increase, start, or stop any status quo behavior? If so, working with a coach might help. And if so, you might be on your way to a really SMART goal, which is the foundation for discipline and action and engagement and motivation and all these things that we're talking about. And so we just changed the R to reason or reward. Why do you want it? Why do you want it? Why do you want it? The argument is, if you have one reason for wanting something, you might get around to it. But if you've got 6 or more reasons for wanting something, you could be unstoppable. So we in coaching, but what we train our coaches to do in the Integrity Game Coaching and Leadership Training, formerly the Get a Klu Coaching and Leadership Training, is to really hold people accountable to their why, hold people accountable to declaring and owning and understanding behaviors that need to change. Otherwise, they really don't need to work with a coach, right? You can set SMART goals all day long without really needing any coaching that we provide or that we're talking about in Get a Klu in 52. So that's tip number 33 right there. And then tip number 34 is like the symmetry. We looked inside. We wanted to look within over here in tip 32. Well, now you've looked within. You said find a way to love. Look within. Set some goals. Now it's time to look outside for an external accountability source. So for those of you that are aspiring and emerging coaches, please do not endeavor to hold other people accountable unless you have had the experience of being held accountable by an external accountability source. And it's not just any old external accountability source like an accountability partner, which is really a friend who's going to enable you, or you guys are going to let each other off the hook at some point, right? So a professional, somebody that's trained, somebody that's certified, somebody that's got technique, dialogue, discipline, tools in the toolbox to ensure that accountability is non-threatening, delivered on a plate of I love you, but effective in helping you make the behavioral change that you want to make. We're ramping up. This is a good cup of coffee, Sue. I'll tell you that right now. And then somewhere in here, I've got a graph for tip number, what we did last week, which is secure permission. So, all right. So for you, the aspiring and emerging coach, you found a way to love. right? Because you know you're going to get pushback, smoke and mirror story. What about you, coach, from the person that you're trying to hold accountable? You've looked within, you've set goals, you've looked externally and made sure that you've, in fact, have had the experience of being held accountable. Now you're back into dealing with your clients again, your prospects again, and what you want to do is get permission, right? Just because they hire you isn't enough. Just because you're the coach isn't enough. You really want to constantly screen for and test close from a sales perspective, or get feedback, solicit feedback on, are we ready to go? Are you ready to move forward? Do I have permission to? Is it okay if I ask you, hey, remember when we agreed to? And you constantly remind your prospect or your clients of the permission that you have to do what somewhere deep inside there's going to be some resistance for. Anything that feels pressed upon is automatically going to press back. And it's unreasonable for us to expect our clients to accept, even though they sign the contract, right? Even if they sign the contract and it says, I agree to hold myself 100% accountable to my own results. I agree to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless, Get a Klu or Integrity Game or any of its coaches, consultants, contractors, and so forth. I am 100%, even if they initial, it's still ego defensive to want to excuse oneself from that 100% responsibility. It's still a natural behavioral instinct to fight or flight if we feel attacked, or if we're not ready, if the truth doesn't feel good. There's going to be at least 1% of pushback, smoke, mirror story, excuse, explanation, etc. So it's unreasonable for us to expect that people will be 100%. That's why we constantly want to get permission to do what we need to do, which is hold the mirror and confront and ask the questions and hold people to account. That's what we're being paid for. So having said all of that, let me take a deep breath and see, Sue, if before I get into the word for word reading of today's tip, which is authoring state of mind, do you have any opening comments or questions or anything like that before I get into the word for word? It shouldn't take too long to read today's tip, but how are you, and happy Friday?
Yeah, thank you. I am well. Good to be here. And just great overview of where we're up to. And I think set the scene for, some really good tips to make progress in terms of a coaching practice. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to communicate is, of course, what I'm trying to, I kind of like saying this so much lately, what I'm trying to do in this world is make accountability non-threatening, and I don't always, I want to, I know that's my intent, but I also know I'm intense, or I'm, gung-ho, or I'm energetic. And sometimes it may not always feel non-threatening to the other person, despite my best intentions, but that's a big brand promise. Like, I have this beautiful imagination. I just complimented myself in I used beautiful imagination for what this world would be like if accountability were non-threatening. What if it was like ice cream and everybody wanted some? Anyway, I digress. Here we are, authoring state of mind. Page 144, if you're following at home. Thank you and happy Friday. Here we go. The triad came up a couple of times in the last section on motivation. First, in tip number 22, as one of several tools we can apply when supporting clients emotionally, and also in step or ingredient number 3 of conducting intervention coaching in tip 30. Fully using triad in exercise parentheses versus just knowledge in our head, with a client to, quote, do the work to replace a negative mindset with a positive alternative. Here, as an accountability tip, I'm suggesting we apply our ability to manipulate triad to ourselves. As a quick point of review, a world-class coach will support clients in creating mindset that serves them versus otherwise. A world-class coach can explain to a client exactly how to author a preferred state of mind by manipulating 3 things. Number 1, your language choice or pattern, your physiology regarding posture, movement, and biochemistry, and your beliefs of choice in any given moment. Tony Robbins refers to these 3 ingredients as a triad, and I am a big fan of replacing negative with positive triads. It is a special skill set to develop and master because it changes lives. I have worked hard at it since 2007, helping people with their mindset in over 12 countries, now 13, since the writing of this book, now 13. In many major cities within those countries, it is so rewarding to help people get out of their own way. Of course, I have been most rewarded with this knowledge when getting myself out of my own way. And it sounds so funny and so simple in my head. The old Mounds Almond Joy jingle, remember? Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy had nuts and Mounds didn't. Okay, simple. Well, my wish for accountability coaches is that understanding our moods is that simple as well. Sometimes our mood is a reaction, sometimes it's not. It is a truth that for most of us, most of the time, the mood we are in is a response to stimuli that is determined by our past experiences and understandings of pleasure, pain, good, bad, right, wrong, etc. Another truth is that at any time, we can decide what mood we prefer to be in, and we can generate that mood at any given time. Generate, you say? Yeah. Here are the synonyms I could have used: author, create, manufacture, cook, summons, bring forth, assume, produce. Get the idea? Many people want to be victims and helpless when it comes to explaining why they don't have what they want or why they can't get what they want. And the truth is that it's all bullshit. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, taught us that nobody can ever take away our ability to decide what things mean. Meaning making is synonymous with mood authoring. And when you realize that the moods we are in are always the predeterminate of our decisions regarding actions and behaviors, you realize how valuable it is to author your state of mind, to author your moods, to take greater control over the meaning you make of the events and experiences you encounter. However, this is not the place to train you on what I call the psychonergical. I'm going to say that again because it's a tongue twister. However, this is not the place to train you on what I call the psychosurgical skill set of triad transplant. My goal here is to daylight mindset and our ability to author our moods in any given moment. There is something for which we should all be held, or this is something for which we should all be held accountable. If you are not holding someone accountable for empowering meaning making and mood setting, you are failing as an accountability coach and leader. All right, some tongue twisting there. Sue, did it come through okay at the end, right? Because there's a little bit, I kind of want to read that again. However, here we go. However, this is not the place to train you on what I call the psychosurgical skill set of triad transplant. Wow. That's a Klu original right there. That's a tongue twister. That's the most fun speaking that I never want to repeat. I don't know. I'm joking. I'm going to try it again at some point. But there you go. There's the tip. That's number 36. It's number 6 overall in the accountability section. And what we're talking about is the reminder of the 3 ingredients that we need to author state of mind. It's very simple. I try to make it as simple as possible. I use the Mounds and the Almond Joy. Sometimes right. By the way, did you get that jingle down under in Australia? It's the candy bar. There's it was the same company that made 2 different candy bars. One was in a white and red wrapper. The other was in a blue and red, right? So, one was just like coconut and chocolate, and in the other, the Almond Joy, had an almond in it, right? Similar type of, but sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't, right? Mounds or Almond Joy, right? And that's the jingle. And it's like, it was in my head, sometimes your mood is a reaction and sometimes it's not. So most of the time our mood is a reaction to a situation based on past experiences and our meaning-making mechanisms and our ideas about good and bad, right? But what I've learned, and I'm not even perfect at this. I mean, I still find myself having to stop, take a deep breath, and get out of an unwanted mood and into the desired mood. And thank God I've got these tools. But the simplicity of it is, if I want a ham and cheese sandwich, the ingredients I need are ham, cheese, and bread. But if I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the ingredients I need are peanut butter, jelly, and bread. Change the ingredients, change the sandwich. So same thing. Change the ingredients, change the mood. What are the ingredients? They can all be manipulated. My language choices, the beliefs that I'm focused on. Like, I'm focused on time is money. I'm going fast. And all I have to do is focus on patience is a virtue. And I start going slower. Right? So if I prescribe, if I can write out ahead of time, empowering beliefs and just point my focus to them, that's one point of entry into changing mood. But I could just shift my posture and change my mood, or the way I'm moving, or the way I'm breathing. I can drink coffee or water and change my biochemistry that way if I don't want to focus on a belief for 30 to 60 seconds and change my biochemistry through my hypothalamus. Or, could versus should on language choices, need to, have to versus want to. So I'm in control of all three of these ingredients to be in any mood I want to be in, anytime I want to be in it. And to understand this is powerful, not only, as we talked about in the section on motivation, so that we are a stand for our clients when their stinking thinking is in their way, and that we have the points of entry, and we can carefully and with love and with great care, great professionalism, help them shift to a preferred state of mind, right? Well, guess what? Here, it's something I believe we as accountability coaches want to be able to do for ourselves. I'm reminding us as people that endeavor to offer accountability as one of the benefits of a coaching relationship, or a leadership relationship, or a mentor-mentee relationship, or however you're digesting this content and applying it in your world. You are some form of leader, and you want permission, and you want to be able to hold people to account, but you want to do it in a loving way. So you're willing to look within, you're willing to be held accountable yourself, you're willing to get permission, you're willing to set goals in your own right, and you are willing to author your state of mind to be who you need to be in the moment for that client, especially because we're going to get pushback, smoke, mirrors, storytelling, rapport building, all kinds of things that a client will do inside of a session to avoid what's coming, which is, did you or didn't you do what you'd committed to last time? Right? If you're offering accountability coaching in your form of leadership, you're going to at some point hold them accountable, and you got to be ready for everything that's coming if they're not ready to be held accountable, even if they've given you permission, even if they've paid you for it. So let me take a deep breath and say, what say you, Sue? What stood out, or what comments, or what do you have to add to this? What's your experience been? In particular, the authoring state of mind piece, because I know that you've studied this, and we've been in the trenches together in the group mentoring that I provide, and you've been the coach and the coachee, and so I've seen some stuff. But what do you have to add to this? I've been looking forward to your comments.
Yeah, the three things that you talk about in the tip, the language choice, physiology, your beliefs, that combination in authoring state of mind is just incredibly powerful. And yeah, we've had some pretty amazing experiences in group mentoring where we've gone through how that has helped me personally. And I think the biggest thing that I've got out of it is really appreciating I've got the choice as to how I show up in any given situation. As a coach, when I'm working with a client, I can really choose, how do I go into that session? In another context, if I'm about to go into a meeting or some other situation, taking a few moments to reflect on what's been happening in my world in that moment. What mood am I in? Is that appropriate to how I want to show up in the next situation? You've got the choice to change that or to go, yeah, I'm okay, and reinforce where you're at in any moment. And that's what I love about it, is that you can move as appropriately as you need to be for the circumstances that you're in. So very powerful.
Yeah, that's a great example. I remember one time I came out to my car in the morning, and I had to drive downtown and get to the office of this prospect that I was really excited about. Like, this when I was building my career, and I couldn't, like, if I had a coaching prospect that I thought was doing much better than I was really excited and nervous and excited, like, to up level. I wanted to keep working with higher and higher level people. And I remember feeling that excitement, that nervous excitement, like, oh, I could get a big client. This is a big opportunity, right? And I came out to my car, and it had been broken into. My car had been broken into, and the garage door openers were gone. And I went into a panic, and like, you're violated, you're upset, you're angry, you feel like, oh, what if they have and I absolutely used these tools. I said, wait a second, who do I need to be? What belief do I need to focus on? Instead of focusing on they have garage door openers, they could come back, right? What do I need to focus on? Never return to the scene of a crime. They're not coming back, right? And so who do I need? What? Okay, is everybody, and I just got myself centered real quick by focusing on the different belief, and I got downtown in time. I thought I was going to have to cancel. I'm like, oh no, now I got to call this guy and say I can't make it. Now I look like an idiot, and my chances of enrolling this person and coaching her. And I went through all of this stuff for like 15, 20 seconds. I'm like, no, none of that's helping me. Right.
Yeah.
And then I just went and I did what we're talking about today. I manipulated the 3 ingredients, got myself in a better mood. I was down there in time. I ended up not getting the client anyway, but not for that reason. Right. Yeah. And you don't get all your clients, right? That's why you got to keep marketing. You don't get all the prospects. Nobody gets 100% of the prospects. Right. But especially not without 100% effort in putting yourself out there and all that stuff. What else comes to mind when we talk about these 3 ingredients? What about the ease, the simplicity of it? Like, because a lot of times when we're in the unwanted mood, a lot of times what happens there is it's somebody else's fault, right? And so we're right about being in that mood, so we don't have a built-in mechanism to want to get out of it, because part of it is we'd have to admit that there's some other belief to focus on, or we might be wrong in the belief that we're right. So in other words, now ego defense comes in, wants to hang on to this mood. Right. And it can seem complex, feel stuck, or, the heaviness of being in an unwanted mood and feeling stuck in it, or feeling like we're helpless or powerless to get out of it, versus peanut butter and jelly or ham and cheese. What do you want?
Yeah. I think the more that you, or that we build awareness of the choices that we have, the more and the more we practice that, we can build that muscle memory of our shifting our beliefs so that we're in a better state, a better mood more often. And so it elevates us.
Yeah.
And changes our vibration, if you want to go into that space of just who we are. I think it almost starts to change who we are at core, because we can, each of those 3 elements, we can start to shift and do that.
There may be, you're doing with this with your hand, and I'm realizing that, like me, there's a lot of visual people out there. So I'm going to take a chance. On a screen share, and tell me, stay with me, Sue, if I do this well. Let's share a window. Okay, how are we doing? Tell me if you can see my screen. Oh wait, no, how about I press share? Can you see my screen right now?
Changing. Yep.
Okay, so real quick, just to put a visual on this is right from the coaching and leadership training. We train coaches and leaders on how to provide engagement, motivation, and accountability. And for those of you, it's a fill in the blank workbook. There's a lot of good stuff in here. And for those of you that are visual, I'm just scrolling real quick because I saw Sue do this, with her hand, and it dawned on me that a visual might be helpful here. So what I want people to see, if I can get to it quickly enough, is these 3 ingredients in the form of a triangle, because there we go. So when we talk about, if I can blow this up a little bit, here's the ingredients of state of mind. Can you see it, Sue?
Yeah, that's good.
So this is the thing, the checkup from the neck up. And so we go over this, we train this, we exercise this, we role play this, we learn how to do this for ourselves and others to be world-class coaches, because often, like we said, the behavior is preceded by the belief. And if the belief is locked in by an emotional addiction or a pattern or a habit, then that's what we need to intervene on. And we have one point of entry right here, another point of entry right here, and we have like a point of entry right here with kind of 3 points of entry right here. So these are the ingredients that, if we manipulate them, our state of mind in any given moment is going to be blank. So there's a variable right there. But what's going to determine what's in the variable is, what is the belief that we're focused on? What are the language choices that we're using? What is our physiology? So the reason that I plot this with so much white space up here, and this is to your point, Sue, and white space over here, and white space over here, and white space over here, is because I can draw a line right here and figure out what's the disempowering mood that I don't want to be in, like depressed, let's just say. And then I could say, well, what are the language choices when I'm depressed? And what belief do I focus on when I'm depressed? And what's my physiology like when I'm depressed? And if I can actually write it out, then I could, like what you were saying, Sue, is I could become aware of the negative mood sooner than I might have. Does that make sense? And then as soon as I become aware, now that choice becomes so clear to me, rather than just a global knowing that I can change my mood at any given time. It's the transactional knowing, like I got to change my mood right now because I'm recognizing something that I wrote with my hand when I was self-reflexive or when I worked with a coach to understand state of mind. Well, the beautiful thing is, let's say over here, instead of depressed, I want to feel, ready? Fulfilled, which to me seems like the opposite of depressed. Fulfilled, depressed. So if I want to feel fulfilled, I ask myself, what would I need to believe? And what are the language choices that I would use if I were fulfilled? And what's the, you can almost, I don't know if you can see my screen too in my video, but like, what's the posture of fulfilled? Where's my chest if I'm fulfilled? Where are my eyes and my hands if I'm fulfilled? So now I can start to scribe, write out, get out of my head and write it down ahead of time, the ingredients for the desired mood. It's like going into my kitchen and wanting to make a meal and saying, oh no, now I got to go out to the store. Screw it. I'll just order a pizza. I want, if the ingredients are there, I'll go and make the meal I want. So why don't we put the ingredients of state of mind there so we can make the mind we want? All right. So there's a visual on it. And like I said, are we back? Am I back?
Yep.
Can you see me? Okay. All right. So was that worth it? That was worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was. I'm getting a little more fluid in the StreamYard environment, but yeah. And so we want to be able to help our clients with that. We want to be able to do it, and you could see how fast I could talk through all of that, and that's the fluidity. That's the mastery level, right? But it starts with learning it. I remember when I didn't know it and I learned it, I'm like, ooh, this can change lives. It's changing my life. It's going to help me change, and just because I know how to do it. And this is the thing, I'll slow down and I'll say this. I feel my coffee kicking in biochemically. I'll slow down and I'll say this. Learning this, this tip, and exercising it or getting trained on it and role playing it and being checked off, certified that you did your homework on it, whatever it is, doesn't mean you're never going to be in a bad mood again.
No.
It's not going to prevent bad moods from coming. Know that. Okay. What it is going to do is going to help you intervene in them sooner and more effectively. And then, of course, we want that if we're a coach and we're a leader. We want to demonstrate our ability to do that in our life. If people ever say, how do you stay so calm? Or, God, I love your energy. Or if you get any of these comments that are really somebody noticing that you seem to be in a mood that they endeavor to be in or wish they were in more often, how do you do that? Well, that's who we want to be in our lives for ourselves and for our clients. That's who we want to be as leaders. Is we want to walk the walk and demonstrate our ability to author our state of mind, and then maybe it'll be a little bit easier to get your permission to help you with yours. What else? What else say you?
And I think too, just coming back to your comment about it doesn't stop us being in a bad mood or anything like that. And I totally agree. And it also, what it reminded me is that you could actually be in a conversation, whether it's in a coaching situation or just any conversation, and you can feel yourself reacting to something that has been said, and it gives you the ability to really quickly go, hang on a sec, why am I doing this? And then, as you showed in that diagram, you can go, hang on, I'm starting off in this negative place. I don't want to be in that place. Very quickly, you can shift.
You want to know first of all, yes to the quickness. You're quicker, right? But you want to know what's funny? Just to be a jovial, clown on a Friday like I normally am, right? Actually, sometimes we want to be in that place.
Well, yeah, we might want to go, woe is me.
Well, or damn it, right? Or, okay. That's the joke part. And of course, all humor is rooted in a little truth, and here's the truth of it. But that doesn't mean that's the most productive place. That doesn't mean that's going to help us. Sometimes we want to be angry. Sometimes I want to be sad. Sometimes I want to feel. But I have to, if I'm going into a meeting or if I'm getting ready to coach somebody, I don't have that luxury in the moment. If I'm a professional and I'm paid or somebody's investing in me and somebody's counted on me, I don't have the luxury of just getting to do whatever I want to do if I'm a professional, right?
Yeah.
If I've received the money, if I've gotten permission to lead. Permission to lead isn't just permission. It's also an agreement to show up as the leader, which requires my ability to author my state of mind and get into the 100% commitment to my client, 100% confidence in myself that I can help this person in any given moment, or this team, or this group, or this whatever in any given moment, right? So the jovial part is sometimes we want to be pissed off. Sometimes we want to be, sometimes there's something there, right? Those emotions exist for a reason. So we don't want to deny the human condition, but we want to give ourselves the ability to choose productively for ourselves in any given moment. We certainly want that for our clients. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Last call. Comments, questions, jokes. I've added riddles to the eligible expressions during last call. Comments, jokes, questions, riddles, affirmations, expressions of gratitude. What do you got, Sue?
Really nothing more from me to add. I mean, it's just a powerful tool.
Wonderful. Well, thank you as always for being here on another installment, another tip out of Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included. It's time for me to start imagining what kind of a tips book I want to write for next year. I'm thinking something in the world of human resources, maybe a global approach to soft skills, maybe. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. So if anybody out there is, interested in collaborating on a soft skills book, like I did with Vipul last year on the Entrepreneur Edition, there's still time to talk about that and get it done. But for now, thank you, Sue, for being so supportive every week as we read these tips and get them out there to the world. And thank you for those that have watched in real time or a recording of this. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week with tip number 37 from the accountability section of Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.